Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got the first race for week 12, last week of season 4 for 2021. And in honor of Derby week at Five Flags in Pensacola, we are running the late model fix series. The actual iRacing Snowball Derby ran into super late models a couple weeks ago, so without those running there this week, I figured running the late models would be the closest I could get to it, since they are also running the Snowflake Derby there this week. So going out for qualifying now. Probably going to be quite a bit off the pace. I'm feeling into the race probably at least a tenth and a half, if not a little more off the pace. The only thing I can hope for is that we're able to save tires well enough that the last half of the race we can try to pick up some spots if we can maintain our track position off the start. So it's not an easy track at all. You can see we got loose off before hitting that bump the wrong way. Can definitely send the car around. So definitely a tough track. Torch the entry there into 1 and 2. It's going to make this lap much slower, so we're just going to ride around. Probably should not have made the change to the steering ratio that it did for qualifying, but glad we were at least able to get some sort of lap in. We're in practice, and it was dark in that session. I caught the back half of it, so track conditions and speed were not at all the same as what they were when I was, getting into the session. So a little bit different, but not too bad. Setup doesn't feel horrifically tight, although I'm sure after 50 laps, if you abuse your tires, it's going to slow down significantly. So going to go into the garage, make the change. You can see I'm running +8 on the steering offset, 50% on the brake bias. We're going to go up to the 14 to 1. I just feel like it gives me, with how slick this track is, it gives me a little bit more control when the car gets loose, especially if you hit that bump the wrong way coming out of 4. It can definitely try to send the car out. I almost feel like you kind of want to take a little bit of a higher entrance and kind of stay up half a lane or so, and maybe just clip it coming out of 4. Make it a late apex out of 3 and 4, because you can't really accelerate too early and try to make it an earlier apex and come out, because you will drill the wall coming off of turn 4 with the right front very easily. 1 and 2 is not so bad. You can kind of take a more traditional line through, but I feel like, at least for me, that's the adjustments that I make to try to handle that bump and still actually be able to carry some momentum off. So take a look at the results. You can see we're bumped back to 5th. Yeah. Almost 2/10 off the 1 and 2 car. I figure being the 10 car out of 4, if we can finish top 5, I'll consider that great. If we're able to get anywhere near the top half, I'll be happy with that. Just would love to be able to start on the inside rows so that we don't get freight trained on it, because wrecks tend to go up and then they come back down, and freight training can just send you to the back very quickly. So bit of a gap there. You can see 14th is at a 17.622 to the 158 of the 2 car in first, but overall looks like there's going to be some pretty tight racing. 1 and 2 should have probably a good battle. 3 and 4 should have a good battle. We're going to definitely have a good battle on our hands with the 5, 8, and 6. There should probably be a pretty good decent battle back there for 9 through 12th, with the 12, 9, 11, and 7. Like, there should probably be some close racing if these qualifying times transit into race pace. Again, with that being said, there's probably going to be some contact. There's going to be a lot of wrecks. This is a D class, so there's no cautions. That could probably shake everything up. And while this is not the ARCA car at all, tire saving will come into play. You can definitely attack the exits off the corners too hard, and even if you're driving too fast, you can kill the right front here and heat it up and just really lose a lot of time the back half of the race. So it's been a little while since I've been here, but I have run races here before. So just going to try to do the best that I can to try to keep it clean, try to keep it on the inside line, see if we can try to make up any spots off the start, just keep our nose clean, stay out of everything, and try to, get through the first 5 laps or so, let it all sort out, avoid any contact, and then after that, focusing on tire saving, but really try to continue with the tire saving. So sorry for delay, a couple days of getting a new race out. Was away on another vacation, so really kind of the last big one for the rest of the year. So just kind of, again, taking some personal time. It's nice to take a break from everything for a little bit, and really helps me to be able to enjoy everything that I'm doing when I get, a little bit of time away and kind of step off. So gonna give it, hopefully we can get everybody girded up and we don't have to wait the 45 seconds, but we'll see. It looks like we're probably gonna have to. Again, 50 laps here. It goes quick, but it doesn't go quick. Would love to maintain this spot if we can, see if we can get a spot or two off of the start with us being on the inside line, and see if we can bring it home. Top 3 would be absolutely amazing. I would be thrilled with a top 5, and if we can just keep it in the top half, try to gain some iRating, that would be great.
Stay
So
behind gear in the inside lane.
just don't expect to have anything for any of the 4 cars in front of us. You can see we're the odd one out in the top 5. You've got the 2-1, 4-3, us, and then the 5. So everybody kind of qualified pretty much close to where their car number is. Just flipped it around a little bit. So definitely gonna feel like we're gonna be off on the pace, but hopefully we can try to do decent, at least in saving tires, and be able to get somewhere. We got such a best lap up right now. Find that for me, once I get running, kind of heating the tires up, best lap tends to come somewhere around 3 or 4 into a run. So and this probably 4 or 5, with the first lap being a little bit slower off the initial start. So just gonna try to do best we can. Try to keep the gaps, keep as much momentum and speed going through the corners without attacking them too hard to wear out that right front end or loosen the car up a little bit. Kind of not really stabbing the brakes to get in, but just kind of dragging them and trying to get the car in. So gonna get ready to go. Pace car is gonna be coming off of the track, and we'll watch for when the 2 car goes, see what we can do. Takes a bit of an early start. We're going to try to keep it to the inside. You could see the 1 car diving down in front of the 4 to get to that inside line. That's going to leave the 3 and the 5 both on our outside. Going to try to get by both of them if we can. Kind of got some side-by-side there between the 3 and the 4. There's a little bit of contact. Oh, we just avoid that. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the 0x, but probably should have tried to check up a little bit more. But the 4 was getting so sideways that I felt like he was going to come back down the track in front of us if we tried to do that. So at least able to get away from that. That puts us in 3rd. Unfortunately, not going to have a 0x race out of this, but if we can keep it at a 4x, that'll at least kind of help things a little bit. Don't know if the 4 is waiting there for somebody or what he's doing. That kind of screwed up our entry into 1 the way he was, and overdrove that a little bit too. So just got to get settled in now. We've got a good bit of a gap out behind, so it's going to try to start logging laps now, try to save tires. You can see the 2 and the 1 going for a side-by-side battle up front. Just going to keep an eye out for that, to watch for contact, and make sure that if that happens, we're able to avoid that. Don't think it's worth trying to dig hard and try to catch them as much as we can, because that'll use up too many tires, and I'm sure these guys are much faster and better at saving tires than me, so just got to try to do what I can to stay ahead. You can see we got a big gap from the 5 and the 6 behind, so that allows us to really just focus on running some laps and trying to save tires. So trying to take a little bit of a later entrance in, just kind of around the corner a little bit, a little bit more of an arc instead of diving down in, see if I can keep from overloading that right front as best as possible. Try to let the car roll through a little bit before I pick up the throttle and not stab it or get on it too early, and try to kick that rear end out. 2's looking to the inside of the 1 now, so great side-by-side battle there. Kind of expected that. I got on the throttle a little too early, had to blip it there to make sure that I don't get into the wall off of 2. Just going to keep an eye on these 2, see what they do. Looks like they're running pretty respectful around each other without any contact, just great side-by-side racing. So while I'm just logging laps, that'll give you guys something great to watch up front. Don't think, again, we have the pace to be able to challenge those 2, but we're going to do the best that we can. And if we can maintain the gap right now out back to the 6 car, or excuse me, the 5 car, that'll help us out big time. Almost had a momentary dumb moment there, almost got into the wall in the middle of the front stretch, able to keep it off. Kind of got a little too focused on watch these 2 because it's a great battle. You can see the 1's trying to get to the inside now of the 2, they kind of swap positions there. So should be a great battle. 2's going to be able to keep the run off of the corner, but he's going to have the non-preferred line going through 1 and 2, and 1's going to slowly work on him. Passes here don't typically tend to happen very quickly unless the driver in front makes a mistake. It takes a couple laps to work by people, so what that ends up doing is chewing up your tires and also allows the people behind to catch up. So we're going to try to take advantage of that while we can, but again, we're still kind of trying to go into tire saving mode, at least for the first 30 laps or so. Maintaining about the same gap out behind, so that makes me happy knowing that if the 5 is pushing as hard as they can, that we should have better tires the last half of the race. But
that lap was a 17.5.
Just doing the best that we can. Damage we got from the incident on the start of the race doesn't seem to have really affected the car at all. Seems like we've got decent pace, so Just trying to close up to these two while I can, while also saving tires, because I know there's going to be a point that if we catch them and they're running side by side, we're not going to be able to get by, and that's also going to allow the 5 to catch back up to us. So want to try to see if I can get there just to build myself as much of a safety buffer. You can see I had to lift again off of 2 the last lap just because I got on throttle a little too early. Tires are starting to wear a little bit, so need to make sure that I don't get on throttle too early. See, 2 drops back. He tries to jump to the inside of the 1 now to see if he can get back by him on the outside. Slide the car up a little bit out of the track. That's going to heat up the right rear a little too much, so I'm going to have to take it easy for a lap, let it cool back down. Probably going to bump the brake bias back in a lap or so. Not that I'm using much, but just kind of helps get the car slowed down a little bit sooner so I can, you know, let it roll and rotate through the corners a little better. 2's kind of got the inside line and almost has the 1 cleared. Now he does. The 1's going to fall behind. 1's going to look for a crossover, try to go behind, even though it's the other way. 1 actually makes contact. Looks like with the left rear, the 2 sends him up the track. Gives him the inside line, although he's not going to have the position coming off the corner. 2's still got the momentum on the outside. Going to move the brake bias back just a little bit while we watch this battle up front. This is also allowing the rest of the field to kind of try to stack up a little bit. You can see the 4's got the pace with this fast repair. He's running in between the 5 and the 8, so decent racing. Looks like it's kind of us 3 right up here, and then you've got the next 3 cars, even though the 4's lapped down in between the middle of them. You've got them kind of in between, and then there's a big gap behind that. So kind of doing what I expected with in terms of the you know, the pace breaking everybody up, but having some close battles. Just glad that we're able to be running in 3rd. We got through that wreck at the beginning okay, and just watching the 1 and the 2 battle right now. I think the longer they do this, the more they're going to beat up tires, and we could potentially have maybe a chance to try to get by at least one of them for second, you know, towards the later stages of the race. Just kind of riding around right now, just trying to keep myself in a rhythm, slow the car down enough that I can not overheat the right front, not scrub it too much, but also still keep pace to try to hold with them. You can see we're half second back. I'm okay with kind of keeping it right there, maybe a little bit closer, but just, you know, within striking distance in case something happens, but not right on top of them so that if a wreck happens, we're able to avoid it. The 5 is starting to catch us slightly, but still a good gap out behind. Was 1 second last time around the line. We'll check it next time by. 4 is definitely presenting issues being in the middle of that battle. I think he's just pissed off at the way the start of the race went. And I understand that, but at the same time, you know, it don't affect people's races when they're running by each other, so it's kind of my thing. If I was the 4, I'd be dropping back and letting them go. So 2 gets into the wall down the middle of the backstretch. 1's able to clear him. Don't know if that will allow the 1 to pull away, or if the 2's going to mount another charge at him. Looks like they're running single file right now, which could possibly allow them to pull away if they're able to start running some clean laps. You can see we're kind of pulling away from the 8 a little bit. The 4 actually clears the 8. Not sure if the 8 let him by or if the 4 just kind of muscled his way through. I don't think he's going to be able to unlap himself plus get around for a position, but if he gets to us and we're not in the middle of a battle, we will probably just let him go and not run the risk of ruining the rest of our race. I'd rather do that than try to keep him behind and run the risk of him putting a bumper to us because he's in a bad mood. We get into the wall coming off of 4 through the front stretch, kind of similar to what the 2 did. Tapped it with the left or the right rear. Thankfully, it didn't give us an instant point. You can see now that they've gotten single file, the 1 and the 2 are able to start pulling away. I'm not really pushing the car too hard. I feel like I've actually kind of backed my pace off a little bit just because I, you know, still want to continue to save tires. We're only halfway through. We got 25 down, 25 to go. So just trying to ease the car as much as I can. Kind of okay if they, you know, if they pull away for a little bit because they might have worn out tires enough that if they're pushing a little bit harder now, we could try to get back to them. If nothing else, you know, finishing 3rd again was a really good goal for me. So I'd be okay if this is where we finish, and I'd rather save tires to try to build a pull away from the 5 or the 5 and the 8 later on if we need to. Although you can see that gap's opened up quite a bit, and the 8 and 5 have actually flipped positions. So, but that gap's at 1.6 now at the line, so that's opened up from a few laps ago. So looks like it should be a 3rd place finish. Probably should have been a 4th place if the 3 wouldn't have had the issue. 2 gets in the wall down the middle of the backstretch, so we're probably right where we should be running. So don't feel like, you know, I mean, I feel like we lucked into a 3rd, but not like we're so far ahead of where we really should be running. So just trying to do the best that I can to hang with these guys, although they are pulling away now that they got themselves sorted out. So real reason was that they, you know, that side-by-side racing was just slowing both of us down and we were able to catch up. But just logging laps and trying to keep it as clean as I can. Less incidents. You know, the 4X should, hopefully we can break even with that happening early enough. If we can try to finish it out, we might be able to break even or gain a little bit of safety rating. So, you know, we're out of the danger zone for safety rating. I get in the wall again on a 4, just kind of got on the throttle a little too early and let the car come up the track a little too far. But, you know, if we're able to avoid things like that and break even in the safety rating, I'll be happy with that. We should be in a decent spot to gain a good amount of iRating for the race. Not sure what the iRating is of everybody, but hopefully it should be a somewhat decent strength of field in relation to iRating for us if we were the 10 car out of 14. Getting the wall too hard there out of the back stretch out of turn 2. That's you know, why I was kind of blipping the throttle a little bit before when I felt myself coming up. That was my fault. You can see the 8s closing a little bit, but those are my fault for making dumb mistakes. So 2 and the 1 have pulled away from us. Again, I think we're, you know, looking at a 3rd place finish at best unless something happens with lap traffic or whatnot. So coming across the line to start 34, we've got 17 to go. I'm going to move the brake bias back a little bit more, and we're going to switch over to session last lap just so I can try to find, you know, a little bit of a line or see if I can, you know, drive any better, find any speed. Kind of botched that corner entry up a little bit, entered in a little too low. Just really trying to arc this thing as much as I can to save the right front as well as try to carry as much momentum through it as I can. Kind of taking a little bit of late apex in both corners. Just trying to avoid the bumps. The track is definitely rough, as you can see, you know, so that can throw the car around. But if we can just run some consistent laps and try to put ourselves in a decent position for, you know, 3rd, I'll be happy with that. Probably picking up the throttle just a little too early through the middle of 1 and 2 there, so I think I just need to wait a little bit longer now that the tires have worn some, and that will allow me to get back to the bottom of the track and be able to come out with a better run. Kind of like what I did there with 3 and 4. I felt like that was a better corner, at least compared to 1 and 2, so just got to wait that little bit longer and be able to get on it just like that. You can see how much time we're able to pick up by doing that. That helps out quite a bit. The 8 car's definitely picking up. He's got a lot of pace compared to us, so we probably did a better job of saving tires. Let's hope that we can try to just stay in front for the remainder of the laps. If we fall back to 4th, so be it, but you know, hoping that he's not going to be able to pick up enough to make the run beforehand. Though when we hit the apron like that, that's going to send us loose, cost us a ton of time. That's going to allow him to pick up another 10th or so. So, should have enough of a gap to try to get the 3 bias if we can, although he's not right there. We're just going to see when he gets to us in the corner. Try to make sure that we can get him bias as quickly as possible without disturbing us and trying to maintain the gap on the 8. You can see the 3 starting to look inside, so I probably should start thinking about letting them by. I'm going to try to do it here quickly in 3 and 4, just get them by so we don't have to worry about getting bumped out of the way without losing too much time to the 8. Going to try to check up, let them by. Now we're just going to ride in behind the 4. We give a good amount of time to the 8. You can see he's only half a second back now. We're going to come across the line to have 9 to go, but hopefully we can try to just get back to clicking off some laps and try to finish in 3rd. I think it was in our best interest to let the 4 by. He definitely was looking like he was going to try to dive inside of us and probably would have put the bumper to us. Like I said, I can understand his anger. We'll check with the wreck at the beginning and see what happened there. You know, if he feels like it wasn't his fault, I can understand being angry, but at the same time, you're not really racing for too much when you're in 12th there, and there's no reason to be affecting lead lap battles either, or possibly taking somebody out that's on the lead lap. I've been guilty of that before, and you know, it's something I really try to learn to make sure I don't do. So that's the last thing you want to do is affect a race like that. You can see he gets into the wall as well. 8's closing down on us. He kind of dives in a little too hard there. Cuts it to the inside, actually clips the inside wall coming out of pit row going into 1. So that allows them fall back a little bit, allows us to kind of get a bit of a gap back. 4 gets into the wall again on the front stretch. You can see we almost do the same thing as the 8 there, except for we're able to miss it a little bit. That's actually kind of a preferred line when you can. Try to get as close to that as you can through 1 and 2. That's when you know you're driving a good line. I know the modifieds when I ran SK here, that was definitely a preferred line. 4's probably getting on the throttle a little too hard this time. He doesn't clip the wall, but you can see how high he's pushing. So he's probably just trying to drive aggressively and getting on it a little too hard. Looks like we've kind of stabilized the gap. The 8's pulled it a little bit, but still a good bit of a gap left for 4 laps to go, so hopefully we can maintain it before it really gets into the wall. Slows him down quite a bit, kind of screws up our entry into 1 and 2 because of how slow he was and where he was at on the front stretch. Gonna move the brake bias all the way back. We're just gonna try to work by the 4 on the inside if we can. I don't really want to sit by him and lose more time. Thankfully he stays high, gets out of our way. It's probably the first respectful thing I've seen him do. You can see the damage he's got on the right front from really pounding the wall through the front stretch, middle of the front stretch last lap. Hopefully we can just kind of hold up. And he's going to hold up the 8 long enough for us to get by. We've got 2 to go this time. Still in a good position to finish 3rd, which I will feel very happy with the podium out of this. Just keeping my eye out front, making sure that the 4 is not going to try to dive bomb us. Don't think we'll be getting by the 13 unless he's really that slow and holding himself. There's no reason to. And just watching out for any other traffic or wrecks that could happen up front so that we don't end up getting involved in anything and losing our 3rd. 3 gets kind of slow off the corner. We're going to swing to his outside. Just going to hold it to the outside because we've got enough of a gap back that we can do that without running too much risk to our race. And we're able to bring it home in 3rd. So, pretty good race overall. Made some mental mistakes there. Had a couple bad injuries. Got into the wall a couple times off of 4 down the front stretch, as well as once off of 2 on the back stretch. But overall, pretty happy with that. We will check the tire wear when we get back. Stop the car here on the front stretch and check the tire wear. I'm glad to have finished 3rd. It should be a pretty good iRating gain. Hopefully, decent safety rating gain as well. You can see 84, 85, a little bit too much on the right front, but overall it's a lot closer than where I have been. Not too bad overall. These setups and short tracks typically tend to wear right side tires out a lot more compared to the left side, but not too bad overall. Let's take a look at the 4 and see what happened there off of the initial start through turn 3 and 4. Jump, pull this up. We'll get back to the far chase, and we'll watch. You can see he's working to the inside of the 3 off of turn 2 down the backstretch. He's on the inside. Honestly, it almost kind of looks like he drifts up a little bit, in my opinion. And then we were kind of in a bad place. I probably should have checked up a little bit more, so let's rewind this a little bit. So you can see coming down the backstretch, he is not clear of the 3 yet, but he has the preferred position. And going in, you can see they're running about even. Gap's holding there. Yeah, 3 does start to come down a little bit more compared to the 4, so I can understand why he's angry. They make contact there at the door, kind of get connected together, and then as they go, that's when he starts to lose it. I was on the inside already, about as low as you can go. You can't really get much lower than that without hitting the apron, so you can see this is where I'm going to make contact with the right front. It's going to push the 4 back up the track. Thankfully, it didn't really affect me too much. Kind of sent me down the bottom, but I was able to save it. 4 is going to come back across and make contact again with the 3. And then you can see that sends both of them into the walls there. Let's take a look at it from our angle and see, looking back, did I have a ton of room to check up, or was I probably in a bad spot? I wasn't sure exactly where the 5 was in relation, so I didn't really want to try to do too much in terms of slowing down. Yeah, there's probably enough of a gap. I probably should have hit the brakes a little bit more, although you're kind of at that point where you're starting to accelerate anyways. You can see I was already picking the throttle up, let out of it, tried to get on the brakes a little bit. You can see I actually got on it quite a bit and then kind of lifted because I thought I was going to be able to get on the inside of the 4. So maybe should have held on to it a little bit more, tried to avoid locking it. But the problem is I think the way the 4 was going, we were going to be in that no matter what, because let's look at it from closed version. You can see with him coming down the track, if we had broke, I don't think he slides it and saves it and continues it in that lane to where it leaves us a lane on the inside. I think he's going to come all the way down the track, and we're going to be in it trying to get to the outside and avoid it, which if that's the case, we might have honestly made contact with the 5. So that was probably nothing we could do. That's probably the best, but feel free to leave your thoughts and analysis on that below as well. Would love to hear from you guys on that. But let's go take a look at the results, see how that was. All in all, I mean, besides that, I feel like it was a pretty good race. I feel like we did a fairly decent job of running our pace, trying to run, consistent laps and save tires, but still be there. You can see it was top split once, 26-36 strength of field, so overall not super strong, but in relation to us, definitely a lot stronger. Actually, wasn't too bad off the pace. Was about tenth and a half or so off of, or hundredth and a half off of the fast lap. However, with these two running side by side for the first half of the race or so, that number is probably a little bit lower than it should have been. It probably could have been a little bit higher had they been running nose to tail a lot more and clicking off laps that way. But able to break even in the safety rating, got 0.02. So real happy with that given the 4X that we had early on, and able to gain 86 in the I rating. So really happy there, able to bring us up above the 2100 mark. So don't think I'm gonna, it's gonna take a lot to finish the season back where I started the season at, but compared to where I was in low points, real happy with the last few races that I've been able to do. That I've been able to gain a lot back and really try to keep calm and enjoy it. And I feel like that's making a big difference. So feel free again to leave comments below on what you would have done on turn one coming out of four if you would have stayed on the brakes. If you think that was just I was kind of stuck with really nowhere to go and nothing to do about it, what else you would have done. If you got any driving tips at all, feel free to leave those, or just any comments. I'd love to hear back from you guys in general. So any feedback is always appreciated. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that race. It was while we weren't involved in too many battles, you got to see a great battle out front between the one and the two, and overall looked fairly respectable too between the two of them. So great. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and remember to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more races, and until the next one, hopefully all your laps are fast, your races are clean, and your finishes are good. Thanks for watching.